And even even the countries that still support Israel have populations that do not. So that
I mean,
could
even
change
Israel
in the
has
near
a
future. Yeah.
population. Yeah, even Israel has a population which is starting to be unhappy about the continuation of the war, which is, that's this is a good development, I think.
Well, 80% of the population there still supports the war, but I think 20% of Israelis being against it is actually a big change from previous engagement that Israel's been involved in.
Yeah.
In other Israel-related news, Israel intelligence has several. Okay, let's see. I mean, up to 1,200 members of its former Unit 8200, which is it's the Mossad's cyber warfare division, working in big tech in the United States. So this researcher compiled the database of the Eagle Mission Network, which identified 1,400, there we go, not 1,300, 1,400 individuals that were linked to or a part of Unit 8200, or the IDF's Cyber Defense Directorate, working in mid or senior level roles in major companies in the US, Israel, and Europe. He does note that while not all are accused of espionage, the concern raised is that, quote, no other country has this kind of access to the American tech sector, obviously. Microsoft is the largest employer, followed by NVIDIA, Meta, Google, Intel, and Apple. And Microsoft reportedly collaborates with Unit 8200 on cloud services designed to store Palestinians' private communications. Another firm, Palo Alto Networks, is tied to Unit 8200, acquired CyberArk, another company, in a deal that places these major companies in direct control of former, quote, and those are some scare quotes, former agents of Israeli intelligence.
Ah, yes. Former agents.
The article notes that these 8,200 alumni are widely celebrated in Silicon Valley. And there's a Wall Street Journal article that found that 5 publicly listed U.S. tech companies were founded by 8,200 veterans with a combined total of $160 billion worth of revenues. The alumni are praised for their, quote, high-pressure culture and on-the-spot thinking. So, yeah, bad news for the world is that Israel is completely infiltrating the places where all of our communications can be monitored.
I mean, like, well, yeah. I was going to say, like, if you say bad stuff about Israel, then, I mean, you should just say bad stuff about Israel anyways.
Yeah, constantly. Everyone should always be saying bad stuff about Israel.
Yeah.
If you're not saying bad stuff about Israel, then you are doing the world a disservice.
And even if you don't say it to the world, like, in some kind of a mythical public forum, they're still collecting your data anyways. So your data may as well be a bunch of bad stuff about Israel. Hey, I don't know if you saw this, Times of Israel, talking about a general strike in Tel Aviv as of Sunday.
I did see something about that. Hold on, I think I have an article. Oh yeah, about the hostage strike. That's this is in my notes. Okay, yeah. All right, so according to that Times of Israel article, what's happening is that there's a national strike dubbed the Day of Stoppage, which was launched by an organization called the Hostages and Missing Families Forum, which is led by relatives of Israeli hostages in Gaza. So there are supposedly about 50 remaining hostages, and only 20 of whom are believed to be alive, which to me is remarkable considering that Israel has been indiscriminately bombing everywhere where hostages could possibly be. But, like Israelis, the families of the hostages know this. They know that the longer the war goes on, the higher the chances of Israel actually killing their family members is. So the protests and demonstrations happen all across the country, not just Tel Aviv, but the biggest ones are in Tel Aviv. There were 200 buses of protesters arrived, and demonstrators blocked all movement in the city. And calling it a general strike for the release of the hostages. President Isaac Herzog supported the rally and said he made a speech from the square urging the international media to pressure Hamas for the release of hostages. But the temperament of the crowd is more so anti-Netanyahu because they want Netanyahu to stop bombing and start negotiating.
Yeah, I think that this is a positive development, although I don't think we should make too much of it.
No, chaos is good though in Israel.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, as long as there's any skepticism and any kind of breaks, we're trying to apply any breaks to the rolling of the machine. That's a good thing. Even if their motivations and even if all of the sentiment or all the expressions around it are pressure Hamas, or at least some of them, it doesn't matter,
right? Because
this is less than lockstep support of less than might be inferred from a poll. It's more what am I trying to say? It's more meaningful than a poll. Like if 80% of Israelis are like, good, we should just carry this war on, but also like 1 million people are going to march through, or are going to, or already have marched through Tel Aviv saying stop the war, negotiate at all costs. I think I would take that to be way more serious than 80% of people saying, I want the war to go on.
Like I mentioned, Isaac Herzog is trying to co-opt it and say, oh yeah, I agree, put pressure on Hamas. And then Yair Lapid, who is the labor opposition leader, says that Israelis need to strike out of solidarity because the families have asked them to, right? And that's enough of a reason to do it. But Smotrich, Ben Gvir, and Netanyahu have all come out saying that this is basically collaborating with Hamas, which I think those are good lines to draw. Either stop the war, it's either continue the genocide or support Hamas. Those are the lines that are being drawn by the government. And I think that that's one thing that's missed by sort of this histrionic kind of overreaction, which is not really an overreaction or histrionic. It's actually calculated. It's to trying to paint any criticism of the government as tantamount to the worst evil that you can imagine. So think of the conservatives during Barack Obama calling everything that Barack Obama did as socialist, and then they accidentally helped to make socialism a popular concept. Yeah,
that was pretty cool.
Yeah, but in this instance, it's the Israeli government calling everything that anyone does that criticizes them Hamas, which isn't necessarily making Hamas more popular in Israel or around the world. But actually, I think it is making Hamas more popular around the world. But it is tying resistance to Israel, violent or otherwise. It's legitimizing resistance to Israel around the world by saying that any criticism of Israel is tantamount to being Hamas. So any violent opposition to Israel is therefore justified, because the only way, because it doesn't matter if it's peaceful protests or if it's, attacking the IDF, it's still Hamas. So it's removing the barriers.
Yeah, and especially when you read articles they say, according to this Hamas-run health ministry, or the Hamas-run humanitarian agency, or the Hamas-run security services, whatever. When everything is Hamas-run, and if you don't like the fact that children, infants, toddlers, are starving to death, that makes you collaborating with Hamas. And if an Orthodox nun goes on Tucker Carlson to talk about how Hamas aren't the bad guys, we know them, but the Israelis, they're the bad guys, then fine, keep saying all these things, because let's make opposition to genocide collaborating with the Hamas-run health ministry, which is to say Hamas, which is to say Palestine.
Yeah, and pretty much just equating any kind of opposition to the war with Hamas
Yeah.
is immediately just laughed off as bullshit, right? No one takes that kind of stuff seriously anymore.
It's kind of like how, like in the '60s, American protesters could be found with like NLF flags, and they would say stuff like, "Hey ho, Ho Chi Minh, NLF is going to win." That
Yeah.
totally takes all of the teeth out of, or defangs. Yeah, it defangs the criticisms. Like, oh, what are you on the side of the commies? I was like, yeah, sure, whatever. I'm on the side of the commies. I
Well,
want the war to end. That's all I want.
remember when who were we protesting? Was it the KKK or no? It was the Minutemen, right? The border militias that were blocking the non-existent tide of immigrants during
Oh
the
yeah.
first Bush presidency, right?
And that guy that we called Nazi Steve, he was trying
Yeah.
to he was trying to like delegitimize us, make us embarrassed by saying Trotsky, Trotsky, Ho Chi Minh, and then we all just started chanting Trotsky, Trotsky, Ho Chi Minh until he left.
Yeah. I mean, in retrospect, I don't know how useful that was, but it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, every once in a while it's just good to have some fun.
Okay, so these protests too, I mean, like they're big. Like they shut down the daily life of the city. Roads were blocked, businesses and schools were closed, and the government like attacked the protesters with water cannons and arrested hundreds of people. I mean, it's just like it's serious stuff. It's like it's real stuff, and I can't believe I didn't like prioritize this in what we were talking about because I usually love to talk about bad stuff happening to Israel. You just, so I've noticed this is a common thing on the internet. One, like there are wildfires in Israel, and it's threatening a bunch of settlements. And
That's like the
all
best news I've heard all day.
the comments to the underneath the story about it are like the wildfires have the right to defend themselves. This land was promised to the wildfires 3,000 years ago. And then there's another one where like an Israeli diver was attacked by a shark, and there's a video of it happening from the shore and in occupied Palestine. Recently occupied Palestine. A Israeli diver was attacked by a shark, and then of course the comments are like, "The shark has a right to defend himself." that diver's leg was promised to the shark 3,000 years ago. But anyway, so that's generally the amount of sympathy that the world has left for Israel now.
Well, I mean, I think that they know this. I think that like Netanyahu and his cabinet and all the ghouls that are his who prop up his administration, they know that they have lost the sympathy of the Western world. I mean, they never had the sympathy of the East. And so
Yeah.
this is their like last, at least generationally, last chance for them to achieve Lebensraum. They if they don't do this, then hell, we might actually have a reduced Israel back to like 1967 borders.
Yeah.
Or even worse, worse in their minds, a UN mandated and enforced single state with like equal rights for all.